The idea of a zombie apocalypse is not a new idea. Actually, you could say the idea is pretty stale or boring. And yet, Zom 100 has found a way to take the zombie apocalypse idea and make it feel fun, exciting, and new. And I love that. Let's talk about why Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead is so good. But first, like always, a brief summary. Our main character, Akira Tendo, has been working in this super exploitative company for the past 2 years. They work him to the bone and leave him no time to live life. It's just work, sleep, work, sleep, work, sleep, maybe go home. It's terrible. It's terrible. It's toxic. Horrible. One day, the zombie apocalypse happens, and now, because of the apocalypse, our main character has some time off of work, right? He has some days that he's been saving up that he can finally use. And with that, he decides to make a bucket list of 100 things he wishes to do before he becomes a zombie, because he realizes that up until now, he's been merely surviving and he wants to live and thrive, albeit in a zombie apocalypse, but what can you do? I love how this anime doesn't focus so much on the survival aspect in the zombie apocalypse. Because yes, we've seen The Walking Dead, we've seen The Last of Us, and the surviving these horrific undead creatures is the whole reason we watch it, honestly, right? Yes, there's some great writing. The intriguing thing is the zombies and how they survive. Yes, we've gotten that a lot. We're kind of used to it. It's a little played out at this point, unless it's done really well like Last of Us, but that's a whole different conversation. I love how Zom 100 focuses on not just survival, but living life to the fullest and truly enjoying your life, albeit in a zombie apocalypse, which is something that makes sense that people would decide to live their life to the fullest at the end of the world, seemingly, but it's not something we see too often, or it's not too focused on. And so the fact that this was focused on in this anime is something that I appreciate. It adds a fresh coat of paint to an otherwise kind of dull idea with apocalypses and zombies and all that stuff. And the juxtaposition of the main character living his life to the fullest amongst the dead, in contrast to when he was simply just surviving amongst the living, is so good. Is so good. It's so good. And I love that. I love when there's like that little bit of like, this was intentional, not just like, oh, I'm gonna take this idea and throw it against the wall and see what sticks. No, the themes and the ideas were definitely intended to take place in this setting. And I love that. But more on the themes later. I really appreciate the focus and how it was just so intentional. The focus was very intentional. You can see that very, very clearly, especially with the focus being on the characters and not so much on the situation. Like I've said thus far, in other media that has zombies and apocalypses and stuff like that, the focus tends to be on survival, therefore the situation, and how the characters adapt and how they strategize and how they overcome situations that they normally wouldn't have to, but they have to now given the circumstances. Zom 100, yes, they have situations and circumstances for the main characters to overcome. Yes, that is something that happens. But the characters play a much more prominent role. Their actual development is really integral and necessary for the story to work. I really enjoy that. It feels, again, different. I love how this story feels different compared to other zombie stuff. It feels fresh, it feels new. The characters are a good example of that. Because of the focus on the characters, we as an audience can actually like them, can build a connection with them, and can root for them as they work towards achieving their goals, their dreams, and just living life to the fullest. And I really appreciate that. They also do a good job with making us root for them, not just because we focus on them, but also giving their backstory. Tendo's backstory, being in a space that's toxic, that's terrible, that he doesn't want to be in, and being forced to be there for one reason or another, is something I think we can all relate with to some extent. If you work a full-time job or a part-time job, and you don't really want to do the job, but you need the money. If you're in school and you don't really want to be there, but expectation has just led you to stay there. Or if it's expected of you because you're in K through 12, you don't want to be there, but you have to be there. If you're in a relationship and you don't want to be there, but you don't know how to leave. There's so many ways in which we as people are in situations or circumstances that we don't want to be in. And some are more severe than others, but we can all understand not wanting to be somewhere, wanting to be anywhere else, but still being trapped to an extent. And that just connectivity that we have with the main character, because we can understand his situation and his feelings, makes us want to see him succeed. And that is just so great. When he does have character growth and character moments that just help elevate the character, we as an audience, at least me, we love it. Tendo is a very fun character. He is so fun to root for. I don't know how to say it any more than that. He's just someone you want to see succeed, and when he does fall down, you're saying get up. Like he's basically like that main character you love in shonen who you know can do it, and you want to see them overcome odds. You want to see him push through adversity and just be all that he can be, and he is that. And it's just so fun. It's so good. I enjoy it so much. And it's not just pretender. All the main characters are people that have meaning. They have a backstory that has defined them as a person, and you see that very clearly as they try to unravel this tangled web of like what their life once was and what they really want for it to be. And that little bit of depth, that little sprinkle of just depth that the story has, it is great. Having a fun show that also has some depth to it is just the best thing ever, because there is fun, but the fun is intentional, and everything else also doesn't feel just random. It feels intentional. I love it so much. Zom 100, the characters, I love them. Oh. Speaking of love, I love the theme that is present throughout the series so far, the theme of living and not merely surviving. Now, I know those two things can sound synonymous, like, oh, survival and living, what is it? You're not dead, right? But if you watch the show and you actually think, you'll see that, no, it's different, because survival is just surviving. So you have your necessities, you have your food, your water, your shelter, good, right? Your body will not die. But living, the things that are not solely necessary to make sure you don't die, but the things that allow you to enjoy life to the fullest, like family or friends or close relationships, like happiness, joy, excitement. These are things that maybe are not necessary to keep you alive, but are necessary to help you enjoy the life that you have. And seeing that present, seeing how the main characters go from surviving in the old world to trying to live and thrive in this new zombie world is something that's really interesting, because people tend to think that when the end of the world happens, when a zombie apocalypse occurs or anything like that, like the world's over, like you're no longer living, you're just surviving. But this show shows that no, these characters, for some people or a lot of people, they were surviving in the old world, and they recognize the value of living now because of all that's around them, all the dead zombies and all the people they've lost, and they now want to live life to the fullest. That is such an interesting theme to have in this show, but it fits the setting so well. It's one of those things where you recognize a story picked the setting, picked all the things around it very intentionally. It was not accidental. That is Zom 100. The backdrop of a zombie apocalypse was not accidental. It was very intentional. So kudos to the writer, because this is just amazing. All in all, Zom 100 has been something I didn't expect to enjoy so much. I thought it was gonna be a fun time, a fun little pastime, if you would. But it's become something that I look forward to every week, that I'm excited to talk about, that I'm excited to experience, and hopefully y'all have watched it as well. If you haven't watched it, it's on Netflix. I think it's on Crunchyroll, not 100% sure, but it's definitely on Netflix. It's so exciting. And it's so weird that a show with zombies can feel lively. I don't know. The motifs and the themes of death and life playing so well together is definitely something that I just enjoy. So if you have seen it, let me know in the comment section what you think of it and what your favorite episode has been so far. If you haven't seen it, go watch it, because I'm sure you'll definitely enjoy it. With all that being said, I have been Wheat, and that's a wrap. I'll be honest, guys. This was a harder video to record for personal reasons, but I'm happy to have recorded it. It feels good to get emotions out there, whether it's excitement or whatever. And this was needed. This was definitely needed. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you all next week.